You ever meet someone who says, "I'm not dumb, I just don't care"? Yeah, psychology says that might actually be a sign of low intelligence. Turns out your daily habit's tiny. Ordinary things you don't even notice can quietly expose how smart or not so smart you really are. So today, let's break down everyday behaviors that reveal an extremely low IQ, backed by real psychological research, not internet myths. Let's see how many of these you're guilty of. First, a quick disclaimer. Low IQ doesn't mean you're doomed. Intelligence isn't fixed. It can change depending on how you think, learn, and act over time. But psychologists have found some consistent patterns. Certain habits are linked with poor reasoning, impulsivity, lack of self-awareness, and emotional immaturity, all things that lower how effectively your brain works. And the scary part? You probably see these habits every day in your coworkers, your friends, maybe even in the mirror. So let's go through them one by one, each one more brutally honest than the last. If you're always trying to prove you're right, congratulations, you just proved you're not very smart. Research from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people with lower cognitive ability struggle to separate their ego from their ideas. They treat every disagreement as a personal attack. So they double down instead of learning something new. Smart people actually like being proven wrong. It means they learned something. Low IQ individuals? They'll fight to the death over the color of a dress or who left the door open. If you can't say, "I might be wrong," your brain isn't learning, it's defending itself. Ever heard someone say, "I just feel like that's true"? Yeah, that's emotional reasoning, one of the biggest red flags for low IQ. Psychologists at Yale found that people with higher analytical intelligence tend to override their gut reactions. They pause, question their assumptions, and look for evidence. Meanwhile, people with lower IQs stick to their first emotional impulse. They confuse confidence with correctness. It's why conspiracy theories spread. They feel true, so no one checks the facts. So if your main source of truth is your gut instead of Google Scholar, bad sign. There's a brutal quote by Epictetus. "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Modern psychology backs this up. A study from Harvard found that low-intelligence individuals tend to overestimate their knowledge and interrupt more during conversations. They assume they already know what others will say, so they stop listening halfway. Smart people, on the other hand, are information sponges. They ask questions, not give lectures. If you always have to dominate the conversation, it's probably not confidence, it's ignorance in disguise. This one's painfully obvious, but incredibly common. A 2016 study from Cambridge University found that reading habitually, even just 30 minutes a day, improves vocabulary, empathy, and abstract reasoning. Meanwhile, those who don't have time to read slowly lose cognitive flexibility. They get mentally stiff. People with lower IQs often avoid learning because it makes them feel insecure. They'd rather scroll, react, and complain than engage with anything that challenges them. If your main reading material is comment sections, that's not intellectual exercise. That's mental junk food. Low IQ individuals love one thing more than being right: being the victim. Psychological studies show that people with higher intelligence display higher internal locus of control. They take responsibility for outcomes. Low IQ people show an external locus. They believe everything bad happens to them, not because of them. Lost your job? My boss hates me. Failed a test? The teacher's unfair. Always the world's fault, never theirs. This mindset kills growth, because if nothing is your fault, you'll never fix anything. Do you panic when it's quiet? Need background noise 24/7? Scroll every 5 seconds? Low IQ people can't tolerate boredom. They need constant dopamine, music, TikTok, noise, anything to avoid their own thoughts. But studies show that intelligent people often prefer being alone. They can handle silence because their brains are busy reflecting, analyzing, or daydreaming productively. In contrast, the low IQ brain feels empty without input, like a phone searching for Wi-Fi. So, if silence feels unbearable, it's not boredom. It's an undertrained mind. This one's textbook psychology. The Dunning-Kruger effect on people with low ability consistently overestimate their competence because they don't know enough to realize how much they don't know. They think they're great drivers, brilliant thinkers, expert investors, while being objectively average. Meanwhile, the smartest people underestimate themselves because they understand the vastness of what they don't know. So next time someone says, "Trust me, I know what I'm doing," be skeptical. Confidence is cheap. Competence takes proof. Ever notice how some people mock scientists, intellectuals, or anyone who uses big words? That's not humor. That's insecurity. Low IQ individuals often feel threatened by intelligence. They mask it with sarcasm or anti-intellectual pride. "I don't need all that book stuff. I've got common sense." It's like bragging about not knowing how to swim while drowning. Psychology calls this reactive devaluation. When you dismiss something just because it comes from someone smarter, it's mental self-defense protecting your ego instead of expanding your brain. Smart people seek peace. Low IQ people create chaos. They thrive on gossip, arguments, and emotional outbursts because it gives their brain the stimulation it craves. Studies show that high emotional intelligence, which overlaps with general intelligence, is linked with stability and self-regulation. If your life always feels like an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, maybe the drama isn't happening to you, you're generating it. The smartest sentence in any language is, "I don't know." But low IQ individuals treat that as humiliation. They make up answers, bluff through conversations, or change the subject. In one experiment, psychologists asked participants to rate how familiar they were with several scientific terms, some of which were completely made up. People with lower IQs claimed to know even the fake ones. In other words, they didn't just lack knowledge, they lacked self-awareness. Admitting ignorance isn't weakness. It's step one toward actual intelligence. Let's end with the hardest one. People with low IQs rarely change their opinions even when proven wrong. Why? Because it threatens their identity. Their beliefs are who they are, so new evidence feels like an attack. Not information. Psychologists call this cognitive rigidity, an inability to adapt thinking when reality changes. It's why some people still believe the earth is flat. It's safer to defend stupidity than admit uncertainty. Smart people aren't defined by being right, they're defined by being willing to change. Here's the real kicker. Every single one of these low IQ habits, stubbornness, impulsivity, victimhood, arrogance, are psychological defense mechanisms. They're not signs of evil. They're signs of fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of looking dumb, fear of confronting your own limitations. So ironically, the dumbest thing about low IQ isn't the lack of knowledge, it's the refusal to grow. Because the moment you admit, "I might be wrong," your IQ effectively just went up. If you recognized yourself in some of these habits, good. That means you're self-aware enough to change them. Smart people don't start smart. They stay curious. They read, they listen. They ask questions. They'd rather look stupid for 5 minutes than stay stupid forever. So don't worry about your IQ score. Worry about your habits. Because the way you live every day either sharpens your brain or dulls it. And the line between low IQ and high IQ, it's not genetics, it's humility. If you found this eye-opening, hit the like button. It helps this video reach more curious minds. Drop a comment and tell me, which of these habits do you notice most in people around you? And if you want more psychology-backed breakdowns like this one, subscribe and turn on notifications, because next week, we're diving into the science of people who think. They're smarter than everyone else. Until then, stay curious, stay humble, and remember, your brain grows only when your ego doesn't.